When I lived with him, he used to come in at like 5 o'clock in the morning in his underwear and say, "Quickly, get up, you know, it's time to go, we need to get going, you know, get up, get your clothes, get dressed, everything, you know, we're going. So I'd get up out of bed anyway, and I'd get my clothes on, and I'd walk out, and he wasn't there. I'd say, "Where is he?" You know? I'd go in, and he's inside my bed. He just wake up, come in and wake me up, tell me we gotta go, and leave practice.
In his life, when I walked with him, was around Lake Hollywood, and you know, not many people even know Lake Hollywood, but we'd walk around Lake Hollywood until we didn't have anything else to say, and that was a long time, because Gary was he'd just go on and on and on. So, but you know, I tell you, some of the best days of my life were the days when I was really serving Gary, and the trade-off was, you know, you find his glasses, and you pick up his dry clean, take out the trash, and
clean up the apartment.
Yeah, and you know, he might give you a nugget.
Another story is we went into a art gallery in somewhere in South Beach, I can't remember, but there was a really good looking girl in there that was taking care of the shop. And Gary, as we were walking around, Gary was like, "Wow, she's really hot." And Jane was like, "Yeah, she's really hot." So Gary went over and approached her and started telling her all about his website and who he was and the ads that he run and all this kind of stuff. And for a finish, like the girl was really interested in what he was saying and all this kind of thing. And he was saying that he wanted to get a photograph of his girlfriend and all of that. And for a finish, as we were walking out of the shop, the girl was kissing him and giving him a hug and everything. Gary walked out of the shop then like John Wayne. He was like, "Why can't you do that? You do less or more."
I came upon them after they had had a meeting with Gary, and they had this strange look on their face. And I said, "Let me guess, you just had the same exact conversation with him that you had yesterday, right?" And they said, "Well, yeah." And I said, "Well, okay, he's just looping. He's the way he would work out everything as he would just have a conversation with you. He's working out pitches in his head. He was working out advertising and copy in his head. He would do it over and over and over again. I spent many hours as a road dog having Twilight Zone you know, revisitation of what happened, you know, just a few hours ago sometimes. He'd just have a conversation, and you couldn't shut him up once he got into it. You had to go through it. All the guys that have worked with him have done this. It was one of the jobs of the road dog was to go through that, but yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was just being, I began to realize that there were minute changes every time he'd do it, very small, but he was always edging towards this world-class product at the end, and that was a wonderful example of being able to see genius at work. And the guy truly was a genius. So.
There was loads of other things. He used to love to just joke around during the day. I was telling the guys last night that one of his favorite things, his favorite times, is when we get into the elevator, and there used to be a lot of really nice looking girls in the elevator of our building, and every time we go in there he'd come up with some way to absolutely humiliate me. Yeah, I went in there one time and he was like, "So Caleb, how's that rash coming on? Do you get the cream to fix that? Or how's your STD test? You know, all this kind of things, just humiliate me all the time." And one of the last times I was there, he told the lady at the desk that I was a homosexual from Ireland that had been stalking him. The lady didn't want to leave me out. He told her that he wanted to talk to me and sort it out himself, so that's how I was allowed up to the end. She never spoke to me ever after that.
Joe mentioned when we were together in Pennsylvania when I lived back there, and Gary was my house guest. And there were so many good stories, but a couple of them come to mind. Gary was one of the most convincing and persuasive humans that ever walked the face of the earth. And we were sitting on my deck one day, and my next door neighbor's wife came down to say hello, and my next door neighbor was a dentist. And we got in this conversation. He asked her what what her husband does, and she told him. And Gary said, "Boy, that's really interesting because I just published a book on the life of dentists' wives." And I'm thinking to myself, gee, I never heard of that book. What's this book all about? And then he goes into great depth. And he goes into detail, he goes into all his intricacies, and he's going on and on and on. And she's completely, she's totally wrapped up in this whole scenario. And I'm thinking, God, this must be some kind of, why would Gary write a book like that? There's not much of an audience for it. This and that. And I'm trying to, in my mind, I'm trying to think, who's he going to market it to? And then he gets into the sex lives of the dentist wives. And now he really has her going. She's leaning forward like this. Her eyes are wide open, and she said, "Well, how do you know all this?" And he says, "Well, I did an in-depth study, and I did these surveys, and I did this, and I did that." And I'm thinking, it's not like Gary to publish a book like that too. He has me totally sucked in now. So he finally gets her way up here, and she asks him a question. He says, "I'm just fucking with your mind." Then we had Joe. Were you there for that?
No.
No, I know you weren't here for this one, but I had a little party at the house one day, and I had a stripper over there, and Gary was the last to show up, but he was there right on time when she started. Everybody else got an early start. And of course, all the guys there, she was gorgeous, and she was coming on all the guys, and so every guy there thinks that she's in love with them, and they're all trying to hit on her, and they're giving her the $20 bills, and on. They're trying to get these lap dances and so forth. Well, not Gary. He gets her attention. He's over there talking to her. Doesn't give her a dime. They get into this long, prolonged conversation. She's fascinated by his stories, and he's comparing his nipple rings with her vagina ring. So he's pulling up his shirt. And there's more, but I'll pass the mic.
Just this morning, Sam, Scott, and myself were talking about the kind of mischievous things that Gary would get up to. And the last one that I could remember, one of the last times I was with Gary, he was planning on selling one of his teeth that he had got extracted by the dentist on eBay for a charity. And he had it all worked out and everything, and he was going to use one of his toenail clippings as a fast response bonus for anyone who bought the tooth. But like everybody said today, Gary was a great friend. We were talking also about how he helped every one of us out when we needed it. He was, in particular, when I was in financial difficulty in Costa Rica, he bought me a ticket, come back to Miami, and hooked me up with clients and got me sorted out and helped me along and just really taught me how to do what I'm doing today. So, talk.